So we continue with the chapter digestive system. We are just on the verge of completing it. We are just on the second last page wherein we have got certain experiments on digestion. So the first experiment what we did was the digestion of the starch. So for that we just took starch and we added some saliva into it, and we found that the starch is no longer showing the positive test for starch, but it is showing the positive test for sugar. That means that the saliva has converted the starch into sugar. We have the next thing, and the action of pepsin on egg white, which is a protein. So we are trying to find out that what does the egg white do. So stir the white of an egg in about 500 ml of water. So you take some 500 ml water and put some egg white into it and stir it properly. Boil the mixture and filter it through glass wool. So you are boiling that mixture. So now the moment you boil that mixture, what you are expecting is that the protein is going to be gone. So you see that the filtrate will be cloudy liquid suspension. Take 4 test tubes and mark them A, B, C, D. Take a small quantity, about 3 ml of the suspension in each test tube. Now add a few drops of 1% solution of pepsin and hydrochloric acid as follows. So you are going to take the 4 test tubes A, B, C, D, and you are going to have about 3 ml of the boiled mixture of water with the egg white and pouring it into it. Now you're going to add, in test tube A, you're going to add only pepsin. You're just going to add pepsin into it. In the second, you are going to add HCl to it. The third, you are going to add pepsin as well as HCl. And the fourth, you are going to say HCl and boiled pepsin solution. So pepsin is there, but it is boiled. Now what is going to happen? Place all the test tubes in beaker of water at around 35 degrees Celsius for nearly 10 minutes. Only test tube C will show the cloudy suspension change into a clear solution. The experiment proves 3 things. First, pepsin can digest protein only when it is acidic. So first thing what happens is that when the first A test tube had got only pepsin, it is not digested. So what is the form of for digestion? The cloudy form will become clear. When the cloudy form becomes clear, that means the protein has got digested. So here you will see that the first A, B and D will remain cloudy. Why? Because first thing is that pepsin akela digest nahi kar sakta. Pepsin can digest only if it is acidic. If the food is acidic in nature, only then the pepsin can act on it. So that is the first one. Second one will not work because HCl is just going to be added. So you can see over here, acid alone has no effect on the protein. So there is no effect on the protein by the acid alone. The third is boiled pepsin fails to digest protein because boiled pepsin mein kya hua? Pepsin has got damage. You can destroy it because when heating the pepsin, you are destroying the enzyme. So in other words, the enzyme pepsin is destroyed by the heat. So this is the reason that only the one which has got the pepsin with HCl will digest the protein. The third is effect of acidity and alkalinity on an enzyme reaction. In the same experiment as above, take a fifth test tube E, in which take the egg white suspension and add to it similar quantity of pepsin, a few drops of mild sodium bicarbonate solution to make it alkaline, and keep it at 35 degrees Celsius. So now what we are doing is that we are taking one more test tube, taking that for 3 ml of the boiled egg white solution, and to it we are adding some amount of sodium bicarbonate. Now sodium bicarbonate, we know that it is an alkaline substance which is going to neutralize the acidity which is there. So you are just going to add a few drops of sodium bicarbonate and keep it at 35 degrees Celsius. No change will be noticed in the cloudiness of the suspension. It proves that pepsin does not act in alkaline solution. So that is also that whether the protein are going to be digested by in alkaline solution also or acidic also. It is basically only in acidic nature that the pepsin are going to be acting on the proteins to get converted away into amino acids. Now the practical work for food test. So now we are going to have some test for food. So first is test for sugar. So how do you test for? Now we are saying that you are going to test for sugar, you are going to test for starch. So वो test कैसे होता है? So let's understand. Like in the first experiment we say that we have taken that particular test tube, उसके अंदर we are testing it for sugar, we are testing it for starch. But how do we test it? That is what we are going to study now. Test for sugar. A little sugar glucose is added in a blue-green chemical called Fehling solution in a test tube. So there is a solution which is called as Fehling solution. So when you are taking the Fehling solution, it's a blue-green colored solution which you are going to add into a sugar solution. Tilt the test tube away from you and heat it over a flame until bubbles begin to appear, but not allowing it to boil over. The color would change from blue-green to deep brick red with the appearance of precipitate. A small piece of apple or a grape will give the same result. Similar test is performed to test the presence of sugar in urine for suspected patients of diabetes mellitus. So you can see that you are going to take the Fehling solution and the test tube you are going to take some sugar solution. So the blue-green color solution on heating will turn into brick red color. So the brick red color indicates that the solution is sugar. So the same test they also do for urine test, so for diabetes patients. So diabetes patient they want to find out whether the urine contains sugar or not. They take the urine in a small test tube, they add some Fehling solution to it, and then they heat it. If it turns reddish, it turns brick red, then it means that the person is suffering from diabetes mellitus. If it is remaining the same color, that means the sugar is not available in the urine. Sucrose does not give the above test until after it has been boiled with dilute hydrochloric acid and neutralized with sodium bicarbonate. So only sucrose, that is cane sugar, doesn't. So if you are taking some sugar or cane sugar in a glass and you are stirring it and doing it, so it will not work. If you take glucose only, then it will work. If you take cane sugar and use this Fehling solution, it is not going to turn brick red, because the sugar, which is cane sugar, needs to get converted into glucose and sucrose or glucose before you are taking the test. So वो conversion के लिए it will require an acidic thing plus sodium bicarbonate. So both will be required before it can convert into simple sugar. The next is test for starch. So how do we test starch? A little starch powder is taken in a test tube with some water and then boiled to make a solution. When the solution is cold, after add a few drops of iodine solution. So you are going to take a solution over here. You are going to take some starch and going to take it, boil some water and then boil it in a solution, and then allow it to cool down. And when it is cold, then you are going to add some few drops of iodine into it. Iodine solution can be prepared by dissolving 1 gram iodine and 1 gram potassium iodide in 100 ml of distilled water. The solution should be diluted before using. The starch solution would turn blue-black, indicating the presence of starch. So, if the starch is present in the solution, then the iodine, जब भी हम लोग डालेंगे उसके अंदर, the whole solution will turn blue-black. Normally, the iodine solution is purple in color. It will turn blue-black. So, showing that the solution has got starch in it. So it will turn blue-black, indicating the presence of starch. Foods like potato, rice give a positive test for starch. Next is test for proteins. Place a piece of hard-boiled egg white in a test tube. Add a few drops of concentrated nitric acid, enough to immerse the sample of the food taken. One should be cautious by using the acid, of course, because nitric acid is harmful. If it touches your hand, it will cause blisters. Heat the test tube gently, then cool the test tube and by placing it under the tap and add ammonium hydroxide. You would notice a color change, first from a white precipitate to yellow upon heating, and then from yellow to orange upon adding ammonium hydroxide. So first of all, when you heat it, it will turn from white to yellow, and when you are adding ammonium hydroxide to it, the yellow will turn to orange. So that is showing the presence of protein inside the solution. Finally, test for fats or oils. It is very simple. You just take a groundnut and rub it on the paper. अगर वो तुम लोग को transparency वो translucent जैसा दिखने लगे, then it is going to be having oil in it. So rub a piece of groundnut, walnut or a piece of butter on a plain paper. The spots rubbed turns translucent, especially when viewed against light. So that is exactly what happens when you are using a tissue paper. तो यूज़ करते हैं, अगर ऑयली हाथ रहेंगे और टच करेंगे तो it becomes transparent or translucent. Not transparent, it's called translucent. So that is the presence of oil or fat. Test for presence of water, which is again extra information. Take some chloride paper, which is blue. So we have done this in case of earlier 8th standard mein, transpiration mein. We're taking a cobalt chloride paper, which will turn pink. Okay, it is a blue in color. It will turn pink on exposure to moisture. The dry cobalt chloride paper can be directly touched with the cut surface of the food like potato and banana to observe the color change. The test for presence of minerals: place a piece of banana or potato in a crucible, heat and it burns completely. Ashes left behind does not burn. The ash indicates minerals substances. So if the ashes are going to be there, then the minerals are there. If it burns off completely, then there are no minerals in that particular food material. So this is how the test for the food material and the digestion takes place. So that's all for the chapter digestive system. Overall a very simple chapter, but there are many terminologies which are there, which are used, and the important reactions which are going to take place between the different food stuff, converting it into the complex material into simpler ones. So overall, complete chapter. You can see also there is one summary of the digestion in various parts of the human alimentary canal. So the mouth, where there is mastication, which is secretion of the saliva. Source is the salivary glands. Enzyme is ptyalin, which is salivary amylase. Nutrients, which will be substrate, will be the starch, and the product of digestion will be maltose. Esophagus, there is no secretion or nothing over there. The next is the stomach, which is the churning and the temporary storage process. Secretion will be the gastric and the juice and the hydrochloric acid lining of the stomach. And the enzyme is the pepsin, which is working on the proteins to form peptides. And the renin, which is not found in adult humans, for milk protein or casein. And curdles milk to produce paraffin protein. And duodenum is going to, in the duodenum there are going to be secretions from the bile juice, that is the bile from the liver, and the pancreatic juice from the pancreas. The bile has no enzyme, but it is the nutrients which is working on its fats, and it is going to convert the fats into emulsified fats and food for made alkaline. And the pancreatic juice is going to have 3 enzymes. The amylopsin, which is the pancreatic amylase, works on the starch to convert into maltose. The trypsin protein and polypeptides are converted into small peptides and amino acids. And trypsin is the pancreatic lipase, which is going to convert the emulsified fats into fatty acids and glycerols. The ileum is going to produce the intestinal juice, which is the intestinal gland between the villi, and they are going to have epipsin, which is the which is proteins and peptides to amino acids. The maltase, which is going to convert the maltose into glucose. The sucrase, which is going to convert the sucrose into glucose and fructose. And lactase to lactose and glucose and galactose. And intestinal lipase to fats and fatty acids and glycerols. The colon has no reaction, the secretions, neither the rectum has any secretion, but the product in colon is the absorbs the water and some remnants of the digested food, and rectum is the temporary stores and undigested food and waste. So that is about the summary of the digestion, which was there in page number 111 as 11.1, table number 11.1, which was just near the large intestine. So that is the end of the chapter digestive system. We complete the chapter over here. Yeah, the figures are very important of the complete digestive system, the labeling of this part, the teeth ka part, labeling, very important diagrams over here. And yes, to draw and this part. So the villi is also very important. So these are the important things of the chapter digestive system. So that's the end of the chapter. Thank you.